It was supposed to be just another Monday for Ethan Cole, CEO of a booming tech startup in Seattle and a full-time single dad. At 37, he'd mastered the art of balancing boardroom battles and bedtime stories. Every day began with school drop-offs and ended with his daughter Lily's favorite dinosaur bedtime book. But on that foggy morning, fate had a different script. As he drove down the coastal highway, heading to a charity event, something strange caught his eye. Through the thick mist, he saw smoke curling into the sky from a wooded clearing near the roadside. His gut clenched. This wasn't just a bonfire. Without a second thought, Ethan pulled over and sprinted toward the smoke, his expensive loafers slipping on the wet grass. What he found would haunt him forever: a white sedan wrapped around a tree, flames licking the front, and inside, a woman in a wedding dress, chained to the steering wheel. She was screaming for help, eyes wild with fear, mascara streaked down her face. Her dress was scorched, and her veil had melted into the seat. The smell of burning fabric filled the air. Every instinct told Ethan to wait for help, but he didn't. He couldn't. Grabbing a rock, he shattered the window and climbed inside the inferno. With flames dancing at their heels, he found the chain, tight and rusted, clamped around her wrist and attached to the steering column. She was sobbing, panicked, whispering, "Please don't leave me." He didn't. He stayed. His hands bled as he wrestled the metal loose. And in a moment that felt ripped from a nightmare, the chain snapped. He pulled her out just as the car exploded behind them, the force throwing them both to the ground. Later, in the ambulance, she told him her name was Grace. She had been kidnapped on her wedding day by her ex-fiancé, a man she had left months earlier for his controlling, abusive ways. He had ambushed her outside the chapel, drugged her, and planned to make her disappear. Ethan sat beside her, his jacket wrapped around her shoulders. The whole time, he thought of Lily. What if it had been his daughter years from now? What if no one had stopped? Days passed. Grace recovered. The news called Ethan a hero, the CEO who saved the bride. But that wasn't the part that mattered. What mattered came weeks later, when Lily shyly tugged Grace's hand at a dinner Ethan hosted for her recovery. "You look like a real princess," Lily said, eyes wide. Grace smiled and knelt down. "And you, Lily, are the bravest girl I've ever met, for sharing your daddy with someone who needed him." Ethan's heart swelled. Months went by. Grace, once a wedding planner, began volunteering at shelters for domestic abuse survivors. Inspired by Ethan's bravery, she started a foundation called The Second Chance. Ethan became its first donor. And love? Well, it found its way in slowly, tenderly. Not in grand gestures, but in quiet breakfasts, school pickups, and shared laughter over spilled pancake batter. The story that started with fire and chains ended with healing and hope. Not just for Grace, but for Ethan too, a man who had given everything to protect his daughter and, in doing so, found something he never expected: a second chance at family. Because sometimes, the most powerful rescues don't just save a life, they rewrite the ending.